Welcome to part 2 of Ivy League Consulting's online tutorial about how to become a stronger graduate school applicant. In part 1, we discussed the basic introduction of graduate school admissions processes and talked about the ashikiri, or examination process that all graduate school applicants must go through. In this, part 2, we're going to talk about the factors that become important after you've cleared the ashikiri. In other words, after you've achieved these minimum scores for the programs that you're interested in. Now, as I indicated in part 1 of this tutorial, entrance to graduate programs depend primarily on 4 main factors after you've cleared the ashikiri. These 4 factors are 1. Experience, 2. Academic ability, 3. Motivation for graduate study, and 4. Recommendations. Let's treat each of these in turn. First, experience. Now, by experience, we mean not only academic experience, but also professional experience. Particularly if you are an MBA program applicant, you're going to need at least 2 or 3 years of actual professional career experience before you even consider applying. Applicants to master's programs and PhD programs in the social sciences and humanities will also benefit from career experience, but it's not always necessary. Now, by experience, we mean not only work, but things like a volunteer experience, internships, extra classes that are related to the field of proposed study. All of these ways are sort of great methods to improve your chances for admission. MBA applicants in particular should scout out ways to increase their management experience. Try to take on leadership roles in different projects. Try to organize particular projects so that you can demonstrate leadership skills and management experience. If you're interested in international development, you might search out an NGO in your neighborhood or your city and do a bit of volunteer work for them. In other words, if you have some time before the application deadline, seek out those experiences that will help strengthen your resume, will help strengthen your background in your field of proposed interest. Next, what about academic ability? Well, this is going to be judged primarily by your academic record, your grade point average, or GPA, as a university student. MBA applicants will also be judged based on their GMAT scores, which provide some indication of academic ability. Now, if you've graduated from university a long time ago, it's still possible, depending on how much time you have before the application deadline, to take additional classes in your area of proposed interest and hopefully raise your GPA if it's not a number that you're satisfied with. Next, motivation for graduate study. Schools strongly prefer applicants who have a demonstrated strong motive for graduate study and also a high motivation for graduate study. Now, schools mainly judge this based on your application essay. So how to improve your strength in this category? Well, first, you should begin planning and writing your personal statement early, and let a graduate school experienced native English-speaking counselor help you with that. That's a service that Ivy provides, but of course there are other services out there as well. Now, graduate school counselors can counsel you about how to write the essay, and then also edit your essay draft until it is perfect, until you have something that you feel ideally represents your motive and your motivation for graduate study. For more information about how to write this essay, you can check out Ivy's homepage and click on the Know-How button for a sample outline. Finally, let's talk about letters of recommendation. Recommendations are essentially detailed and objective evaluations of you by a senior member in your field. Now, letters of recommendation are an extremely important part of the application for foreign graduate applicants, and they account for about 20 to 30% of the admissions process. They are used to get a third-person evaluation of your educational abilities, your professional skills, and, equally importantly, your character, by a respected senior member of your field. Professors put a lot of faith in these letters because the recommender has a high status in this field, and it's a status that is similar to the professor's own. Whom should you ask to write your letters of recommendation for you? Well, in general, the following factors are going to be important. First, you need to find somebody who is able to write a strong and very detailed statement of praise, both about your abilities in your field and also about your potential to be even better. Second, you should find somebody who is related to the field that you're pursuing in graduate study. And ideally, this is somebody who has a position of seniority or high rank in this particular field. Now, whom you choose to ask for recommendations depends partly on the type of program that you're applying for. For example, for MBA programs, recommenders should ideally be from current or past work jobs, so people like supervisors or bosses, people who were in positions that were, relative to you, somewhat senior, and people who can comment on your experience at that job. In other professional programs, such as public policy, journalism, education, and so on, recommendations can come from a combination of current and past work, intern experience, volunteer experience, preferably, again, in a field that is related to your proposed field of graduate study and your future career. Recommendations can also come from professors. Again, in the same or similar field is best. Now, there is some freedom in the balance between bosses and professors, but you should probably have at least one from each. On the other hand, if you're applying for an academic program in literature, sociology, and so on, recommendations from professors, again, in the same field, is probably the best. And at the very least, you should have 2 letters of recommendation from professors or academic figures in your proposed field of interest. In general, the more professionally oriented a program is, the more appropriate it is to get recommendations from bosses. And on the other hand, the more academic the program that you're looking into is, the more appropriate it is to get recommendations from professors. Thank you very much for viewing this online tutorial brought to you by Ivy League Consulting. To review the main points from this workshop on how to become a stronger graduate school applicant, first, pass the Ashikiri, these standardized examinations that are necessary for any person pursuing graduate study. Second, consider the steps after you've cleared those minimum scores. The most important factors are experience, academic ability, motivation for graduate study, and letters of recommendation. For more information on these and other topics related to the graduate school admissions process, please visit Ivy League Consulting's homepage and contact us for a free first counseling. Thank you, and goodbye.